So how many of you out there have families? I'd have narrowed this down a little bit. How many out there of you have families with rednecks in them?
Rednecks?
Me.
Rednecks.
I love it. My mom's side of the family. I was born in a small town up in the panhandle of Texas called Tulia, Texas. Probably none of you have ever heard of it. You have heard of it. Congratulations. You know no things.
We had family.
You did? I might have known that. Actually, I don't know, because I was born there. See, this is the interesting thing. I'm a country baby, but I'm a city girl. My parents got away from there. But I still have the relatives. And they're my favorite relatives of all time. So my cousin Rick, he's the guy I'm going to talk about tonight. I call him my redneck cousin Pick. And the reason I call him my redneck cousin Pick, who, by the way, not to make things somber for a second, but he passed away a little over a week ago. And I know he'd be just tickled to death that I'm talking about him tonight. And I had already planned on talking about him before he even passed away, so I think God orchestrated that a little bit. But anyway, I call him my redneck cousin Pick because when cell phones first came out, he had a little bit of difficulty with technology. And remember whenever they first came out, you had to do the letters? R and P are in that one where there's 4 letters. Some reason he couldn't make it to that R. And for some reason, because he didn't understand how it worked, that I knew who was texting me because I had him built in my phone, he signed every single solitary text he sent me, "Love you, love cousin Pick." I'd be like, first of all, you're Rick. And secondly, I know who this is. Every time. And he still did it every time. Anyway, but I love this guy because if you don't have a redneck or any rednecks in your family, I'm so sorry for you because they solve problems. They are problem solved. Now, it might not be the way you would expect a problem to be solved, but they can solve all of the world's problems with stuff lying around the house. They're like a countrified version of MacGyver, you know. So anyway, so I loved it because I'd be talking to him on the phone, and then I just casually mentioned something that was going on in my life, and I knew that I needed to get out a pencil and pen and paper the second I heard these words. "Here's what you're gonna do." I'd be like, "Oh, hold on. Let me go get the pen and paper." I'd be like, "Here's what I'm gonna do." He's gonna tell me something real good right now. So one day I'm talking to him, and I used to have bone spurs in my heels. I don't know if any of you guys have had those. I'm about to tell you how to get rid of them. So anyway, I casually mentioned how horribly painful they were, and at the time I was waitressing, so now once you walk on them for a little bit, they're fine, but when you first wake up, it's like nails being driven through your heels. So he goes, "Okay, here's what you're gonna do." He's like, "You're gonna have to go to probably like an antique store or Mexico. Because you need one of them old-timey Coke bottles." And I think the only places they have those these days is either Mexico or an antique store. Now, the reason you have to have that is because it's got to be real thick. Okay, why is this? And he says, "And here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna put it on the floor, and then you're gonna just as hard as you can. You're gonna roll it back and forth under, and it's gonna break up all them little ligaments, and you're gonna feel better." And I'm like, "Okay, so let me get this straight. I have to travel to Mexico and/or find an antique store that has an old-timey Coke bottle in order to get rid of these. Sounds reasonable." So what I did is I got myself together, and I went down to the Walgreens, and I went on that aisle where they had the as seen on TV stuff, and I bought me this foot massager with these balls in it that you could put your foot on, and it broke up with all those little ligaments, and it worked beautifully. So, get you no tiny Coke bottle, like go to Mexico or wherever. and you will be healed. So I was, you know, what I realized I had to do, which I had understood this a long time ago. When my mom would take me to visit my grandma and grandpa in Tulia, my mom had to translate to me sometimes what they were saying to me. Because, like, my grandma would be like, okay, so I need you to get on your britches, and we're going to go down the road a piece to the Tootin' Totem. I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Put on your clothes, and we're going to go down the road to the corner, and we're going to go to a place that looks like a 7-Eleven, but it's called a Tootin' Totem. Oh, okay. So, as long as I had those translations, I could figure out what was going on. So, the next time, and for some reason these are all medical, I think he could have been a redneck doctor. That would have been cool, man. Like, here's what you're going to do. Get you some duct tape, you know, and some WD-40. Anyway, so the next thing, and again, I would not be thinking, hey, I'm going to ask Cousin Pig what to do. I'd just be like casually talking to him on the phone and mention something, and then all of a sudden, here's what you're going to do. So I tell him, I have this wart on the side of my face. Oh, here's what you're going to do. I'm like, oh gosh, notes again, you know. So he's like, all right, you live up there, you know, you live down there in San Antonio, and out there in the hill country, they have this plant. And you break open the leaf, and there's like this milk stuff, and you put it on there, and it'll be gone by the end of the day. Like, probably not if I have to go all over the woods searching for some plants that you're trying to describe to me right now. I'm pretty sure a week from now I won't be cured of this wart. So then, he obviously was thinking about that. He says, hold on, call me back in a second. Or I'll call you back in a second. Okay. So I'm sitting there and I get a bleep on my phone that I got a text, and it's a picture of this plant. And underneath it says, this is the plant. Love you, love Cousin Pig. So here's what I did. I was like, all right. So I went to my closet and I looked around. I found the closest thing to hiking boots I had. I got me some bottled waters. I got all ready. Got in my car, and I drove down to the Walgreens and got Compound W, and it was gone the next day. But according to what he knows, I found that plant. I Google imaged it and said, look, I found it. Here's a picture of it and everything, proof. And look, my wart's gone. I didn't want to hurt his feelings. I'm not going out in the woods looking for a plant to get rid of a freaking wart when there's something at the corner store. That's not happening. The wart store. Ooh, that'd be a gross store. Like they sell frogs and stuff. Witches' noses, you know, like. If you are a wart connoisseur and you want to look more warty, we could do wart couture. You know, the latest in warty fashion. But anyway, and so somebody does not like my comedy, and I haven't had a heckler yet. Hey, buddy, you're acting like a baby. Anyway, told him. Notice he's not crying anymore. I'm a baby whisperer. Anyway. So my mom, that's her side of the family. So even though she married my dad and we lived in the city for most of their marriage, she still had a little bit of that in her. And it came out in a little bit different way. Now, as opposed to my cousin, when I started taking notes and getting excited that I was going to have a cure for cancer here or something, my mom, when she'd say her thing, I'd be like, oh no. She's going to talk me into liking something I just told her I don't like. So, an example of this was I used to go on Pinterest. Y'all know what Pinterest is? Mm-hmm. It is, I think it's of the devil, pretty much. Because first of all, you save a bunch of stuff, I'm going to do that later. You never do it.
Never do it.
And the few things you do, it does not turn out like that.
No.
At all. It is a lie. It is a lie. Every single thing I've done on there was a disaster. I was trying to do puppy paint and made Play-Doh. I'm not kidding you. It came out as Play-Doh. It was pretty cool Play-Doh, but I was trying to make puppy paint. Anyway, but I decided I would use it for my own entertainment. So I would go find the most ridiculous things that they had on there that people were pinning like they thought it was awesome. And I saw this thing. It was a crochet thing. It was the most hideous thing you've ever seen in your life. I hope none of you in here are the maker of that, because I'm about to destroy it. It was crocheted, and it was like a chain crochet, and it went around your neck, and it had this thing here. And you were to put your wine glass in it, so you could carry your wine glass around hands-free. And it was hideous.
Okay.
So I'm thinking I'm going to tell my mom about this hideous thing, right? And she's going to go, sounds hideous. She said her thing. Well, now let's think about this for a second. That's her thing she's going to say when she's going to hit me. I said, oh no, my mom's going to learn how to crochet. She's going to make me a bunch of these. She's about to tell me a reason why I should like it. And then she's going to give me these as a gift. I know it. That's what she's winding up to do. I know that woman. My mom is also no longer with us. And so anyway, she says, now let's think about this. Well, let's say that you're at a bar and you need to go to the bathroom and you have a glass of wine.
What?
Well, you can put that glass of wine in there and go hands-free, and then you're not leaving it on the counter to get roofied or something. And you would be safe. And I said, Mom, if I'm wearing that, I'm positive I don't have to worry about roofies. It's a deterrent. It is hideous. And my mom is like, well, and I said, and Mom, also, I don't drink. She's like, oh yeah, I forgot, you don't drink.
I don't know what roofies are.
That's when they put it in your drink and then they do stuff to you while you're passed out. Am I having to go down this lane? I'm trying to be funny here. Ask questions later. I'll do a facts page at the bottom of this. Reinette King. Ask any questions about what a roofie is. It's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. I'm going to give you one of these crochet things so you don't have to worry about it. Wish my mom was still alive. She made me a dozen of it. So anyway, so I tell my mom, I don't even drink, Mom. So, and then plus, even if I did, can you imagine this? Okay, I'm not trying to draw attention to my body, but certain parts of it are large, so if that was hanging around my neck, what would that thing be doing? Bouncing off of this from me, swinging. Would there be any wine left? No! This is the dumbest invention ever made. And it's ugly. Mom, you're not going to convince me. So then my mom is not done. She still thinks there's some way I'm going to love this thing. I think she's probably crocheting one while she's telling me this information. But that's how hard she was pushing this thing, you know? And she says, well, remember when you were young and I used to make those, you know, to be fancy? I used to take the wine glasses and make the Jell-O parfait with the Jell-O and the and the coin. Remember how you used to do that to be fancy?
Yeah.
Like it was the poor man's parfait. Like Jell-O pudding that was the no-name brand, so it was like 50 cents, and then whatever Cool Whip is. And you put it in the glasses so you could just, because that wouldn't slosh out. You could just walk around. Yeah, okay, here I am at a bar trying to find my husband with a glass of poor man's parfait. You know, I see a potential mate, you know. I walk up and I'm like, hey, how you doing? Want some Jell-O parfait? I made it myself. And my mom made the lovely necklace. Because she thought it was good. And then my poor mom, like, she was funny all the time without even meaning to be. Like, Okay, she had this problem. She had an addiction to fabric. She was a crafter and a seamstress. How many? Be honest here. How many in this room are fabric addicts? Okay, so you are going to be able to. You're going to be able to relate to this. My mom passed away, and a few months later, my dad had to move into a smaller place, and so I got all of her stuff. And just the fact, now it was craft stuff and all kinds of stuff. Just the fabric alone was 32 large black trash bags. Wow. 32 of those suckers. Ask me if I sew.
No, I do though.
I don't either.
Congratulations. Your daughter's about to get a lot of fabric.
Cool. Yes.
I hope you have space.
I'm gonna make sure I get a space.
She's like, I'm moving if I have to. I want that fabric she just told me about.
Actually, come to think of that problem, I am going to get a
I'm just
future.
going to do her mom says. Not my house.
I'm actually going to have a future house on our own property one day.
It has a fabric space.
Yes.
Well, anyway, so my mom had the problem of, and probably you fabric people that are addicted to it, that you walk into a fabric store and you buy 2 jars of that and you don't know what you're going to do with it, but you just can't handle it. My mom did that millions of times. And so anyway, so when you're a fabric addict, junkie, you have to touch all the fabric. You also have to inspect it closely. And this backfired one day real bad. So there's this lady, we're at, it was the old cloth world. And so there's this lady there and she's looking harrowed, like she's been through heck. You know, like she's been through a marathon or something. And so she's over, you know, about to get some fabric cut, and actually it was the last on the bolt. So the lady was just measuring it. There is no alcohol here. I promise. Or rubies. So anyway, and it was really beautiful upholstery fabric. So my mom's behind her waiting to get her stuff cut. And my mom's admiring that fabric. As the lady's proceeding to tell a story about how she's been to 6 other places in the city of San Antonio in the outlying areas and cannot find this fabric, and something happened to she was trying to upholster the last chair and needed this fabric. And this was the last of it on this bolt. And it was exactly the amount she needed. Exactly, like to the inch. And my mom needed to touch it and inspect it, which would normally be fine. Except about 1.5 minutes before that, she popped a peppermint hard candy in her mouth. And it had just enough time to develop perhaps a tidal wave of very sticky spit and saliva. And then she had a drooling problem when she saw fabric that she adored. You know what's happening, right? My mom leans in and drools on the fabric. Then freaks out and starts rubbing it and is just rubbing it in, and it's spreading, and it's right in the middle of that fabric. Can't cut around it. It was exactly the size she needed. The woman, I wish I could describe the look on her face. It was, I can't even do it. And I'm pretty expressive in my face. It's if you could push out of your face terror, anger, sadness, and pure grief all at once explode from your face at my mom. And then she says, oh my God, that was the last piece of this. You know, she kind of starts freaking out, the lady. And then my mom says, well, now let's think about, and I'm like, no, no. Let's call Cousin Pig. Here's what you're gonna do. I'm like, no, you're not gonna convince this woman that this is okay. You have ruined that fabric. So my mom, I pulled her away. She's like, "What are you doing? I was going to help her." I'm like, "No, you are not going to help her. I'm helping you. You were going to die." So, in conclusion, if you have anything that you need help with, you can call me for prayer, and also I have a whole entire notebook of cousin pics stuff. And never, ever ask me, what would your mother do? All right, thank you so much.